Today you are going to be looking at learning target 4G, standard form of a linear equation. Standard form is just another way of writing a linear equation. We've already looked at slope-intercept form and point-slope form. When we look at standard form, our general equation is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are whole numbers, and a, your initial term, has to be positive. Go ahead and write this down because this is going to be important throughout the video, this general form. Before we really get started, however, we want to make sure that you have what the key points that you should be looking for in this video are. The first key point is what is standard form. It was on that beginning slide, so make sure you write that down. You want to have the general form so that you can refer to it when you need to. The second key point is how to write a linear equation in standard form. The third key point is how to graph a linear equation in standard form. And the last key point we want you to pick up is that there's a problem for you to try on your own that we want you to make sure you have in your notes. These are the things we'll be looking for when we check your notes. Go ahead and take a minute and get your notebook set up, and then when you're ready, continue to the next slide. How do we write an equation in standard form? Well, first we have to be given our situation. John is using the $12 in his wallet to buy candy and soda from the store. Each piece of candy costs $2, and each soda costs $3. If we let our variable x represent the pieces of candy and y represent the number of sodas, we can see that our equation should be $2 times each piece of candy plus $3 times each soda equals 12 total that he can spend. Now, a is 2, our initial term, b is 3, and c is 12. They're all positive, or a is positive, and they are all whole numbers. None are fractions. So we're good to go. We know we have our equation in standard form. Now, how do we graph the equation in standard form? This is what will look fairly similar to you, because we looked at this back during learning target 4b, where we talked about the intercepts of a linear function. In order to graph this, we actually graph them using the intercepts. So to solve for our x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y. So 2 times x plus 3 times 0 equals 12. That 3 times 0 goes away, we know that, and then we get 2x equals 12. To solve this equation, we divide by 2 on both sides to get x equals 6, or an x-intercept of 6, 0. On the right-hand side here, we solve for our y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x. If we plug in 0 there, we get 3y equals 12, and we solve that by dividing by 3 on both sides to get y equals 4, or our y-intercept of 0, 4. If we scroll down to look at our graph, we graph the points 6, 0, 0, 4, and we draw a line between those points, and we have graphed our linear equation in standard form. Okay, so you're going to want to use this as your example when you go to attempt the next problem. That's going to be the problem you try on your own. So it's your turn. You're going to write and graph an equation in standard form. The situation you're given is, one day, Mr. Braychuk decides to open up a lemonade and slushy stand on the corner by his house. He knows that each cup of lemonade he sells will make $4, and each slushy he sells will lose $3. At the end of the day, Mr. Braychuk had made $24. I want you to go ahead and write an equation to model this situation, given that x equals your cups of lemonade and y equals your slushies. Go ahead and pause the video while you try to write your equation, and then hit play when you're ready to see the answer on the next slide. Here we can see that because each cup of lemonade makes $4, our 4 is positive. Each slushie loses $3, so when it's losing, when it's decreasing, we know that's going to be a negative. So minus 3y equals 24. If you got 4x minus 3y equals 24, great job. If you didn't, go ahead and look through and figure out where you went wrong, correct your mistakes so you have the correct equation, and then be ready to attempt to graph it on the next slide. Now you're going to take a minute and create a graph of this linear equation in standard form. I will remind you again that you do need to find both the x and y intercept in order to graph these. So go ahead and take a minute and pause the video, solve for your x and y intercept, and then hit play when you're ready to graph this on the next slide. Here we can see that for our x-intercept, we plug in 0 for y, so that part goes away, and we get 4x equals 24. If we divide by 4 on both sides, we get x equals 6, or the x-intercept 6, 0. For our y-intercept, once we plug in 0 for x, we get negative 3y equals 24. From there, we have to divide by negative 3 on both sides, and paying attention to positives and negatives to make sure we get the right sign on our final answer. A positive 24 divided by a negative 3 gives us a negative 8. So we have the y-intercept 0, negative 8. If we scroll down and look at our graph here, we can see that we have the point 0, negative 8, and the point 6, 0. We drew our line through those points, and we have our graph of our linear equation in this situation. That's really all you need to know for standard form. You need to be able to write the equation from a situation, identify the intercepts, and create the graph of that linear equation by graphing the intercepts. If you have any questions, bring them into class tomorrow. Otherwise, be ready to practice. Thanks, guys.